All right, good evening. We will now call the meeting to order. Coming out of closed session, we've already done that once, and our clerk will read out any actions taken in closed session. Speak into your microphone.
There were no actions taken in closed session. We did
right.
have a closed session, but there were no actions to read out.
Yes, we did. Thank you. All right, would you please rise and join with me in the invocation? Dear Lord, we kindly ask tonight for your blessings on all of the Aurora, Colorado massacre victims and their families. Be with the victims in this hour of their need and comfort the families as they try to deal with their tragic loss. We ask for your help in our understanding this senseless act of violence and in striving to prevent such future acts. Bless the victims, their families, and those touched by this disaster. All this we ask in your name. Amen. Let's all join in a moment of silence to memorialize the tragedy. Thank you. And now remain standing for the pledge led by Trustee Bill J.
Address the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It is now with great pleasure that I will invite our newest trustee, Trustee Jim Wright, to the podium with me to be sworn in. Have a little bit of a height difference here, but we'll work it out. Oh, I brought the wrong. No. All right. Trustee Wright, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, James R. Wright.
I, James R. Wright.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support and defend.
That I will support and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
Against all enemies.
Against all enemies.
Foreign and domestic.
Foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance.
To the Constitution of the United States.
To the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
That I take this obligation freely.
That I take this obligation freely.
Without any mental reservation.
Without any mental reservation.
Or purpose of evasion.
Or purpose of evasion.
That I will well and faithfully.
That I will well and faithfully.
Discharge the duties.
Discharge the duties.
Upon which I'm about to enter.
Upon which I'm about to enter.
And Trustee Wright, would you like to introduce your family members who are here and say a few words?
Yes, I certainly would. I have my lovely wife, Janice. Would you stand? My daughter, who flew in today from Mesa, Arizona, and a grandson, Parker, who is taller than I am. Well, I'm very honored to be able to be the newest trustee. I appreciate this very much. I've had so many people come up to me and congratulate me, and I sincerely humbled by this appointment and to be sworn in now as a trustee. So it's going to be different. It's different sitting up here, but I want to thank everyone for their support and for their faith in me. Thank you.
All right, and we have no resolutions tonight, I believe. Is that correct?
No. resolutions and commendations.
Okay. We do have some commendations, and these will be given by our Chancellor and our two presidents. So shall we start with our
Okay.
Chancellor?
I'm done, Todd.
Okay, very good. Go ahead.
Who's going to go first?
Push your button. Push your button. Push that button. There you go. Now it's on.
Now it's on?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Tonight I'd like to recognize the work of our District Information Technology operation and the group that worked on, developed the Sherpa project, and I think I see them back here. At least there's a few familiar faces. Would you stand, please, so everybody knows who you are? Okay. Now, the district was given the recognition at a national conference held by Technology Magazine. This is the 19th year that they've had this event, and they recognized the district as a model of technology innovation on campus. Some of the other there were universities that got the award. There were 350 entrants. Stanford received an award. Purdue University received an award. And we did too. I think we're the only community college. Does that sound correct? One of two? Okay. So the Sherpa project is, as the Sherpas in the mountains of Nepal help climbers to reach their goal at the summit, the Sherpa project for us helps our students to reach their summit, which is the completion of a degree or a certificate. And it's designed so that it gives recommendations to students on courses and student services, and gives students personalized messages by email or text messages to give them advice on courses they should take and what activities they should do to increase their likelihood of success. And this is, a feature that students have here that is not common. And our people did it here. It's being recognized all over the country, as you see by this award. And I wanted to commend them for all their hard work.
Vice Chancellor Bermucci, do you want to introduce those people who are here real quickly?
Stand up again.
All right.
So just wave as we go through this. So Kurt and Robert, and behind them, Aiden, Christian, and there's plenty of people. This was a pretty large-scale project that included teams that had faculty, staff, administrators from both colleges, as well as students that we hire on our design team,
Wow.
as well as our programmers, quality assurance analysts, program analysts, and stuff. So it's a pretty large team that does. So I think it's an accomplishment for our entire district.
It's wonderful. Great. Okay, and our next commendation is from President Todd Burnett.
Thank you, Madam President. It's not necessarily a commendation. I'm very pleased to introduce our newest class of administrators and managers for you. So when you're walking through the college, you'll have a good idea who each of these people are. So I'm very pleased and excited about our new additions to Saddleback College and to our district. First, I'm very pleased to introduce Dr. Cadence Winter. She's our new Dean of Social and Behavioral Sciences. And Cadence, wave. She comes from Columbia College in Chicago, where she was a professor of history and African diaspora studies and interim chair of the college's Department of Humanities, History, and Social Sciences. Dr. Winter earned a doctorate in history of Latin America at the University of Illinois, a master's degree in education at the University of Manchester in England, and a Bachelor of Arts in Social Sciences at the Open University in Milton Keynes, England. So congratulations and welcome, Cadence. Our new Dean of Mathematics, Science, and Engineering is Dr. Christopher McDonald, who comes to us from Mount San Antonio College down the street, where he began in 2002 as a mathematics professor and was chair of the department from 2008 until he came to Saddleback in this summer. Dr. McDonald earned a doctorate in education from the University of Southern California, and a Bachelor of Science degree and a Master of Science degree, both in applied mathematics at Cal State University Pomona. Dr. McDonald. Next, I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Carolyn Durdella. She's our new Director of Planning, Research, and Accreditation. She has 13 years of director-level experience and substantive teaching experience in the California Community Colleges system, and was most recently the Assistant Dean of Institutional Effectiveness and Assessment at Santiago Canyon College. Dr. Durdella earned a doctorate from UCLA, a Master of Arts degree in Sociology from Cal State Fullerton, and a Bachelor of Arts in Anthropology from Cal State Fullerton. Dr. Durdella. Finally, somebody we all know, but our new director of the Emeritus Institute is David Anderson, who comes to us from our wonderful sister college, Irvine Valley College, where he was director there of extended education since 2011. Mr. Anderson earned a Master of Arts degree in negotiation, conflict resolution, and peacemaking from Cal State University, Dominguez Hills, and a Bachelor of Arts in communications from Cal State University, Long Beach. Welcome, David. And we look forward to working with them. We look forward for you to get to know them as well. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Thank you. And now, do we have something from our president of Irvine Valley College? Nope? Okay, not tonight. All right, we are now at public comments on the agenda. Do we have anyone wishing to speak? No? Okay. So we will now move to oral reports, board reports. We'll start with Trustee Jay.
Yes, I have one very important item, particularly to Board of Trustees members as well as the whole district. And that is Dr. Jim Wright, who has been here for years in many capacities, but really has been the Dean of Math Science the last, I think it's 16 years, isn't it? 14 years. 14, hopefully. Don't want to give you more credit than you're due. But anyway, he's a terrific gentleman, an intellectual, retired Air Force officer, taught at the Air Force Academy, and is now with us on the Board of Trustees after many years serving as an administrator in math and science. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you.
Trustee Mike Beldo.
I have no report tonight, but I would also like to welcome Dr. Wright to the board. I'd like to thank him. When I first came onto the board, he did a superb job at showing me around, explaining what was going on with the math and science department, and pressing me heavily for a new building. So, welcome, Jim.
Trustee Milchiker.
Yeah, I'd like to echo, I have a few things to say, but I'd like to echo the comments of my other colleagues. I've long admired Trustee Wright for many years. He's been an employee of the district for 18 years and Dean of Math, Science, and Engineering for 14 years and a chemistry professor, won the Administrator of the Year 3 times. And prior to that, he was a colonel in the Air Force for 27 years and actually had incredible commendations in his work with the Air Force Academy Prep School and oversaw almost a $9 million budget. So this is probably your third career. I don't know. Probably had more careers than this, but certainly an incredible wealth of information. I'm really big on trustee education, but you already know everything, so I don't know how we can educate you. So there's a few things I went to. I don't want to take more time than I'm allowed, but I went to the bridge dedication at Saddleback College and was able to say a few words, and Trustee Jim Wright joined me there. And this is the new bridge. There was a bridge that was condemned, actually, and it was redone. And it's really beautiful. There's kind of a cutout of the word Saddleback College in it. And the event was to honor the maintenance and operation people and the night custodians, and it was really well attended, and we were able to honor them. And they're the ones that keep our campus clean and neat and make sure the classrooms are ready for our students, and they're a very important part of the college. And Jim Ozervich told me that at night it's incredibly stunning and beautiful to see the lights going through the bridge. So I'm going to drive there after the meeting tonight and see it myself. And it's right next to the Veterans Memorial, which is also gorgeous at night too. So everyone's going to want to take classes at night at Saddleback College from now on. And I also attended a few other things. I attended Dames at Sea and Suddenly Sondheim, which were two performing arts events at Saddleback College, which were just beautiful. And looking forward to Faculty Flex Week, and this is a really good opportunity for board members to really get to know faculty and staff and hear the presidents talk and hear what the goals are for the colleges for the upcoming year. So looking forward to a new semester starting in the fall. Thank you.
Thank you. And Trustee Prendergast is not with us tonight. He was able to be present via speakerphone for our closed session. So in my report, I have no report other than to, again, welcome Trustee Jim Wright, and I've worked with him and known him for many years, and I'm just ecstatic that we're having you now as a member up here. Thank you. And your turn to make a report, your very first report.
Thank you, President Padberg. Thank all of you for your very kind comments. They're certainly appreciated. I appreciate this warm welcome. Let me just give you a very short report. I did attend on Friday the bridge dedication at Saddleback College. It was very well done. It was very well attended. I think we had about 150 in attendance to honor primarily our people from our maintenance and operations division here at Saddleback College. And they do a wonderful job keeping our campus as beautiful as it is. That was a wonderful honor, and then we had the occasion then to cut the ribbon and walk across the bridge and so forth. One interesting thing about the bridge is it's not going to require any maintenance. You're not going to have to paint it or anything else. It's made out of steel, so it's going to last for a long, long time. In fact, one of the architects there said probably 100 years. Wow. So it'll be around for a long time. So, and then I want to applaud Marcia for her comments. They were very well done and very appropriate. So the other thing is I just thank everyone for the warm welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
Trustee Dave Lang.
Yes, thank you. I also have no formal board report tonight, but want to echo all of the other sentiments of my fellow board members and wish Jim Wright all the best as our newest trustee.
And we are now at the Chancellor's report.
Okay. It just dawned on me that what I was going to mention relates directly to the very next item. So I think I'll go over to the podium.
Okay, well, we do have, before we get to that board request for reports, do we have any board members wanting to request a report tonight? Okay, seeing none, go right ahead. So we are now at the discussion item, and our Chancellor is going to lead that. So. I believe we'll have a PowerPoint, so you can watch that on the monitor in front of you.
You can tell they don't think I can do it. Okay. Tonight we're going to begin a discussion of the college completion agenda, a national agenda that is very important. And the purpose of tonight's meeting is to give you background information of what it's about, why it's important not only to the nation, to California, but to our district. Following tonight, I'm going to present just a little background, and then the college representatives are going to present what the recommendations are from the Student Success Task Force that has since moved forward, been approved by the Board of Governors, has been approved in the legislature by the state Senate, and it's on its way for approval by the Assembly. The only reason action wasn't taken in the Assembly is that it was time for the July break. So they'll be back to work, in a day or two, and they'll be working on that. Following this meeting, we're going to have, for the next 8 months, we're planning to have a session for the board on each of the major areas of the Student Success Task Force recommendations. I'm going to be asking faculty to join in those presentations. There'll be some administrators also, but faculty particularly have a big role in this effort to improve student completions, and so they're going to be telling you what they're doing. It's important that they get engaged in this activity, and they are. In fact, one of them that's very engaged is right here in the audience tonight. Brenda Boron back here. And Brenda has a wonderful story of what she's been working on. You won't hear it tonight, though, but you will hear it at the Chancellor's opening session. She's going to be a party to that. And the opening session will be dedicated completely to the completion agenda. It's that important. It's going to change what we've done in California. It's the biggest thing since the California Master Plan of Higher Education of 1960. Okay. For the better part, they were right, weren't they? No. Oh, I thought, okay, all right. For the better part of the past century, the United States has enjoyed the reputation of having the best higher education system in the world, a system that produced the highest proportion of college-educated citizens. With a consistent focus on access for everyone, we've produced millions of graduates that have gone on and led our industry and our government. And as we're going to see tonight, that dominance that we've had over these years is beginning to wane by quite a bit, and we need to get acting quickly in order to put ourselves back in the role of a leader in the world. This slide here shows you what has happened to the United States since the master plan, and you can see here that this is a chart that shows the ranking by completions of countries. We used to be number one. Now you can see Korea is number one by a lot. You can see Korea is way over 60%. You'll see that the national average in the United States is 41% of the population. So other countries such as Canada, Japan, Russia, Ireland, Norway, you can read them yourself. All these countries are now ahead of us in the percentage of population, adult population that has college degrees. And this is only degrees, this information, that doesn't include certificates. So you can see what's happened to us. Now we're ranked in the middle of all the nations that we compete with. Today is the economy that we're in is very much of an international economy. We compete with all these other nations. And you can see that in the future doesn't look bright when we're not educating our young people in sufficient numbers to take over our businesses and our governments. We're increasingly vulnerable to international competition. We are not producing enough graduates to meet the workforce needs as being projected. Part of the problem is that the baby boomers who were highly educated under the master plan of higher education are now retiring. And we had educated large numbers of baby boomers. That's what gave us the lead that we have now. And now they're going out. We don't have the numbers of educated people to take over those spots of positions that our educated population has been doing. In 2009, the College Board issued a call to increase the percentage of population with degrees. Thank you, Terry. From the current 41% to 55% of the nation's young adults by the year 2025. If we were to do that, that would put us, in the estimate, back in the lead. Although you saw before, Korea is over 60, so we'd have to have them drop a little bit and for us to take the lead again. But the path we're on now won't get us there. President Obama unveiled a plan called the American Graduation Initiative in pledging federal support for a national initiative. So he was looking at and he converted it to community college numbers, where he took the percentage that the college board has, of 55%. So what does that mean in numbers? He's calling for, in the community college system nationwide, of 5 million more completions by 2020. Now, if you want to know what that means, in order for us to do that in California, so California's share, because we have 20% of all of the community college students in the nation, is 20%. So our share of 5 million is 1 million. That means that each college has to double its production of degrees and certificates by 2020, if we were to meet that goal. For instance, what that means to our colleges is that Irvine Valley College would have to produce another 1,800 degrees and certificates on top of the 1,800 that it already produces. So that means by 2020, we should be producing 3,600 degrees and certificates each year. Saddleback College currently has 3,000. So that would mean Saddleback College would have to go up to 6,000 degrees and certificates in order to meet the goal that's been set. You can see that's rather ambitious. You can judge yourself whether you think we'll make that. But, of course, we'll only begin to make it if we start working on it and making progress to the speed that we're able to. As the recognition of this problem has become greater, there have been more studies by national organizations. There's a group called the Lumina Foundation. It was a primary foundation that does research for education. They came up with the same findings, same recommendations. The Gates Foundation did the same thing. The College Board, as I mentioned, and the Community College League of California. And you remember the Vision 2020 report where that we discussed at a board meeting, and they're looking for the same number of increases to degrees and certificates of 1 million also. So, and I know you've also seen in the press, other organizations, the Little Hoover Commission, it just goes on and on. Everybody sees the same thing. Everybody's on the same track. The legislature is on it. So, let's see. Okay, so the master plan. I wanted to just a minute go over the master plan just on a high level. So in 1960, Clark Kerr, who was the president of the University of California, headed up a work group to make recommendations to the state legislature about what we needed to do in order to address the baby boomers that were coming through that I talked about just a minute ago. And so they came up with a system, a three-tiered system, and defined what each tier was to do. The University of California was going to be the primary academic research institution, and also, obviously providing undergraduate, graduate, and doctoral degrees. And they were to be targeted at the top 12.5% of high school students. Then CSU was to provide undergraduate and graduate education to the top 33% of high school graduates. Community colleges were defined to be the higher education arm that provides instruction to anyone who would benefit from instruction. Well, that's just about everybody, isn't it? So, and so basically it was an open access system. There was no tuition. For many, many years, there was no tuition in community colleges, as you know. That's changed a lot in recent years. So then we were charged with remedial instruction, English as a second language, adult non-credit instruction, community services courses, workforce training, and, well, as I said, tuition free. So today, we're being asked to produce more and more certificates and degrees, and we can't possibly fit all of those missions that we were given in 1960. So the legislature is in the middle of asking us to focus more on what we're going to do. The one of the problems that we're facing is that right now only 25% of California's community college students receive a degree within 6 years. So, and it's the percentage is lower for African American and for Latino students. That's a problem, particularly for Latino students, because that's the fastest growing population that we have in the country. So we need to be able to address that and be more effective in helping those students to the completion. So gone are the days when you offers instruction to the top 12.5%. As you know, they're cutting way back on their enrollments. CSU, they can't do their 33% either because they're cutting back on their course offerings. Community colleges have all these competing priorities. How are we going to do all these things while we're being cut back in our budgets statewide to the degree that they have? We've discussed here before what would, if we weren't in the financial situation we are because of our local property taxes, how much would we have lost in recent years if we were the same as all the other districts? Well, the answer was about $12 million a year. Just think what it'd be like if we were running our operation with $12 million a year less. That's what all the other districts are facing. That's why they're cutting back their course offerings. And we're taking a lot of their students because we're able to continue offering sections as we did before. Okay. In 2010, the legislature passed Senate Bill 1143, and what that bill did is require the Board of Governors of the California Community College System to adopt a plan for improving student success and completion. And the Board of Governors responded by establishing the Student Success Task Force. Now, California took the college completion agenda terminology and turned it into student success. It's the same thing. It's the same problem that we're facing nationally. It just got a little different name in California. So we're all part of the same movement nationwide. So after the Community College Board of Governors established the task force studied for a year. They held forum meetings. In fact, if you recall, there was one right here at Saddleback College in this room where they were receiving feedback about their tentative recommendations and any input that anyone wanted to give. And they produced a final report which was unanimously approved by the Community College Board of Governors. And it was endorsed on the federal level by Department of Education Undersecretary Martha Cantor, who supported the work of the Student Success Task Force because they aligned with the goals on a national level of President Obama. The outgrowth of that was more legislation, and that's SB 1456, the Student Success Act. And that's what I talked about before is currently in the legislature. It's passed through the Senate, has been through the Assembly, is scheduled to go to the Assembly Appropriations Committee, and after that it'll go for approval. So we're about to find that this act passes probably within the next month. it focuses on student success and access, and it will implement the change from the master plan of 1960. Students will be given priority if they have an educational plan to earn degrees, career technical certificates, transfer preparation, or career advancement. It's still too early to know exactly all the specifics of what's going to come out of this until we've seen the final legislation. And even when we know the details, it'll take a while for it to evolve before we all understand it. But the presentations you'll be getting over the next 8 months will help you, I think, to have a deeper understanding of what it's about. Basically, it's to ensure that community college students receive orientation, assessment, educational planning services, all at the beginning of their college career. It'll target campus resources to support innovative models for delivering critical student support services. It'll give incentives for students to progress by closely aligning Board of Governors fee waiver requirements with the federal financial aid standards. It'll increase transparency of the work that we're doing by requiring a scorecard that we post regularly to tell how we're doing, the public can take a look at that and decide whether or not we're doing a sufficient job. The community colleges are a gateway to opportunity for the vast majority of California community college students in higher education, or not community college students, but all college students. The majority of the college students are in our system. The trouble, as we said, the problem is that the large number of students start but never make it across the finish line. And we're going to be spending time trying to figure out what we can do to increase the probability the students will be successful. You just saw earlier in the meeting today recognition of software that was developed to try to assist in that. There are so many students. We've got 43,000 students. We couldn't possibly hire enough counselors to meet individually with students to advise them every step of the way. So technology is going to have to be part of our plan so that we can give them all the direction that they need. This will be the single most important priority. I think that you as a board and we as college administration and faculty will face for the rest of our careers. And it's important that you know about it. And well, before I turn it over to the colleges now, does anyone have a comment or a question that they'd like to ask? Okay, so now there will be, I think Kevin is next, who will present the first 4 recommendations, and then Kathy Worley from Irvine Valley College will do the second 4.
As Chancellor Poertner has already indicated, college completions, increasing college completions is the most important agenda. And not only for us here in our district, but throughout the state, our community college system, and from a national and also a global perspective. And given the numbers, the data, it's a very daunting challenge. So when faced with that situation, I think we would agree that it's helpful to have a focused plan. And what the Student Success Task Force has given the California Community Colleges, I think just that, a focused plan. It's comprised of 8 core recommendations. I'm going to go over the first 4 very quickly, and then my colleague Kathy Worley from IVC will go over the last 4, 5 through 8. And then at future board meetings, faculty, the colleges are going to go into each of the 8 in detail, illustrating largely how we're moving forward at our campuses to implement the recommendations. As you see, the first recommendation, and it shouldn't be surprising that it is the first in order of the 8, increase college and career readiness. Those of us who work on the campuses, certainly our faculty know this best, increasing numbers of students are coming to our campuses and they are not ready for academic work. And they perhaps don't have a career focus. So one of the charges in the first recommendation is to collaborate with our colleagues, our partners in the K through 12 system to jointly develop common standards for college and career readiness. And we are already embarking on that, more detail to follow. It makes great sense to put a primary and important focus here. What we really want to be able to do is to have students take our matriculation exams and in more and more cases, more examples, that they're testing into college level work. And in terms of being college ready, they have the study skills and the aptitudes and the behavior that go along with a successful career at any college, including ours. The second recommendation is to strengthen support for entering students. You'll notice this has 5 subpoints to it. Many of these subpoints are addressed in Senate Bill 1146, Lowenthal, the Student Success Act of 2012. Such as develop and implement common centralized diagnostic assessment. There are working groups that are meeting on that topic this summer. They were reconvened. The likelihood is that there will be an off-the-shelf common assessment initially, but the hoped-for goal will be a diagnostic assessment that will provide a great deal more information for students and for faculty teaching and learning. 2.2, require students to participate in diagnostic assessment, orientation, and the development of an education plan. Notice the word require. Colleagues in other segments of higher education have frequently, and in the master plan, been able to, in certain cases, require students, learners, to do certain things. And certainly that hasn't been the case in the community colleges. So we know the data has been out there for quite some time that when students do certain things in a certain time frame, it generally leads to better outcomes, greater success, such as the participation in diagnostic assessment, orientation, and development of an education plan. Third, develop and use technology applications to better guide students in educational processes. The Chancellor just mentioned Sherpa, a very innovative, technology-driven student support technology that has just received well-deserved national recognition. Require students showing a lack of college readiness to participate in support services. Sometimes we find situations where certainly faculty are frequently frustrated by this. It's very clear that we offer services that could be helpful to a learner, but we can only be suggestive. Senate Bill 1146, I think it has promise for us being more directive. 1156.
1456.
1456. Thank you for the correction, Marcia. And 2.5, requires students to declare a program of study early in their academic careers, that it takes completers 6 years, that 25% isn't sometimes the fact that what can we do as institutions to help them ask the questions, come to decisions about what kind of a career they want is best suited and how we as institutions can help them to get there. Recommendation number 3, incentivize successful student behaviors, adopt system-wide enrollment priorities reflecting the core mission of community colleges. An example of that would be to give a higher enrollment priority to first-time new students and new students who complete a matriculation assessment and undergo advisement and the development of an education plan. 3.2, require students receiving Board of Governors fee waivers to meet various conditions and requirements. There's been a lot of discussion on this item. It is still being discussed, but certainly generally it looks like that there will be an expectation that those students who receive Board of Governors fees will have a program of study and will be making solid academic progress, certainly as defined by local campuses. 3.3, provide students the opportunity to consider attending full-time. We all know the value, and sometimes it's a challenge for a student to attend full-time, but the value of taking a full set of classes is certainly going to get that individual to their pathway to the goal, to completion sooner rather than later. And we know that our financial aid offices, as only one example, are working very hard to, in a more proactive way, address ways to help students be full-time students through financial aid opportunities. And 3.4 requires students to begin addressing basic skills deficiencies in their first year. This is very, very key. Again, the verb, the operative word, require. I think our colleagues in the CSU and the UC systems learned decades ago the importance of this item where it is a clear requirement. And the fourth recommendation, align course offerings to meet student needs. This is about enrollment management. If basic skills, if the core courses that are required for degrees and certificates are going to be there for our students, we need to be careful and thoughtful about developing schedules that reflect those goals and make it reasonable for students to be able to find and take the courses they need and to be able to do so in a timely fashion for them. Kathy.
Recommendation 5 is to improve the education of basic skills students. The first item here is to support the development of alternative basic skills curriculum. This is something that might involve acceleration of curriculum, changing courses so that students can complete several sequential courses in a short period of time through an immersion type program. There are all sorts of ways of doing this. 5.2, develop a comprehensive strategy for addressing basic skills education in California. You'll note that a lot of the objective recommendations were pointed directly at the system office as opposed to the colleges. But colleges will continue to try to find ways within their local means to continue to support the student success outcomes recommendations. Recommendation 6 is to revitalize and re-envision professional development. We want to create a continuum of mandatory professional development opportunities. This might involve providing more financial support, which is something that has been done in recent years. It might have to do with providing a way of sharing and convening best practices within our district locally. 6.2, direct professional development resources toward improving basic skills instruction and support services. It's not just instructional faculty in the classroom that need these advanced teaching pedagogies and strategies for success. It's also the folks that are working with the students one-on-one in the service areas. Recommendation 7, enable efficient statewide leadership and increase coordination among colleges. This is a trend we've seen implemented in the past where we're being required to collaborate more and more. But here the Student Success Task Force was really focusing on the system offices and what they can do in terms of guiding the colleges. Because we're all individual districts, each have local boards. They want to make sure that they're giving guidance to what we can do as a system. 7.1, develop and support a strong community college system office. 7.2, set local student success goals consistent with statewide goals. Another recurring theme where these goals would be published on some kind of a report card that would be published online if we go forward with that. 7.3, implement the student success scorecard. 7.4, develop and support longitudinal system or longitudinal student record system. This is something that the systems office has also helped us with. For the first time, the Chancellor's office is providing us with tools to be able to mine data within our MIS systems in new ways that we haven't had access to before, which is exciting. Recommendation 8 is to align resources with student success recommendations. 8.1, encourage categorical program streamlining and cooperation. 8.2, invest in the new student support initiative. 8.3, encourage innovation and flexibility in the delivery of basic skills instruction. So again, while these are aimed at the systems office, at the district, or at the chancellor's office that provides guidance to all of the community colleges, these are things that the individual colleges and districts will also be working on at a local level to try to further support the recommendations put out by the Student Success Task Force. The Student Success Initiative of 2012, assuming it passes, has both good news and bad news for us. And that is that we will only be required to implement those things that the state can afford to fund. The good news is, bring it on. We really relish the challenge. We want to be able to help our students be more effective in meeting their goals. The bad point is that the state is not likely to be able to fund a lot of the things that they've pointed out to us are very effective practices in helping students be successful. And with that, I can open it up to comments, questions for the three of us.
Any board members have questions or comments? Trustee Meldow?
Yeah, I have one.
Just a minute, I'll get to you. Trustee Meldow first.
I just had a comment. If you don't want me to make it, I won't.
No, I want you to wait till Trustee Meldow has his. I think he had his hand up first. Go ahead. We'll get to you.
I'm very glad we're meeting this head on. We've got a real difficult row to hoe, actually. For example, in 2.5, it says require students to declare a program of study early in their academic careers. Obviously, one of the problems with that and having a background in career development is that there's so many new jobs and new careers being developed, even in a 4-year span, that quite often students will start out on one track and then jump to something else and then jump to something else. And I can see the utility in making sure that they have some idea of where to go, but we're going to have to be careful not to cut those people that want to make changes from making changes that are going to make sense to them personally. And so we've got a lot of work to do on this.
The statewide Workforce Investment Board has a plan that they're developing, their strategic 5-year plan that they didn't quite develop 5 years ago when they started. And the primary emphasis of that is to come up with stackable certificates where students can achieve certification at a skill level and add different certificates to that. And boy, is that going to be a challenge for us to figure out how to make those into degree options for students.
Right. Then the other question, the other comment I had or question is, can you talk just briefly about the common centralized diagnostic assessments a little bit?
Actually, we have an expert, yeah, we do. We have had faculty participating on both the math and the English diagnostic groups across the state. The idea is that instead of each college or each district offering different assessments, that we find some way to come up with one that all would embrace, and then theoretically each college would be able to set their cut scores to reflect their individual curriculum. Brenda's been very involved with the one in English, and we've had math faculty as well, and probably from Saddleback College as well. The district has been very well represented at the state level on that.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Trustee Jay.
Oh yes, I was reading an astounding figure just the last few weeks, and as we all know, unemployment and not working below skill levels is a big problem when jobs do come up. But what astounded me, and it's come out now in several things like the Economist, the magazine The Economist. It even came up on O'Reilly's program. I know a lot of people don't like him because he's a little bombastic and so forth. But the point is that the unemployment rate is 8.2, and it's been as high as over 10 in the last couple of years, as we know, down to about 8.2 now. But among bachelor's degree holders, and these aren't necessarily computer science or mathematics or physics or chemistry or other really difficult mathematical and scientific programs, but just all bachelor's degree holders together have a 4.6% rate of unemployment. That's an astounding figure to me. I couldn't believe it. But if you don't believe it, Google it. You can look up, check my figures on it. But what you're doing is getting there, and it's wonderful that you are, because since the state master plan in 1960, really there hasn't been a tremendous amount of push to get a much higher percentage of people to get bachelor's degrees. And so there's a lot of work to be done, and people who don't have bachelor's degrees and don't have a job are going to run out and get a bachelor's degree tomorrow. It's not that easy, but still it has to be done. So these are good recommendations. They should be followed, and we should do our best to get a much higher percentage of young people and older ones as far as that goes too. They have the problems of underemployment or unemployment entirely, and get them out there and get them educated to at least a bachelor's degree level.
All right, thank you. Any other trustees? Trustee Wright.
I just wanted to thank the Chancellor, Gary Poertner, and Dr. Kevin O'Connor and Kathy Worley. I just wanted to thank them for this excellent presentation.
Yes.
Wonderful job.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Seeing no one else wishing to speak, we will now move on to the consent calendar. And do I hear a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So move.
And a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Maldow. And I know. Are there any items to be pulled off the consent calendar and voted separately? Trustee Milchiker.
I'd like to remove item 5.11 just in order to abstain from that particular item.
Okay, so we're going to remove 5.11, and the Chancellor would like us to remove 5.15, which requires a roll call vote. So with that amendment, Trustee Lang?
Yes, I would like to briefly have some brief questions, comments on 5.3.4.
Sorry,
and
those are two items, 5.3,
5.3 and 5.4.
All right.
And 5.9.
Okay. And Trustee Wright, did you have one to pull? Okay. Anything else? All right, then we will vote on all of the consent calendar with the exception of 5.3, 5.4, 5.9, 5.11, 5.15. So please vote. Okay, so the matter carries unanimously with one trustee absent and the student trustee absent. Now we will start with 5.3. Trustee Lang, you wanted that pulled?
Thank you. On 5.3, and I think that this is probably a question for Brandy Delana, I suspect. But I'm interested on both 5.3 and 5.4 on how the surety process is going to work in these cases, and whether it makes sense. Just understand the decision about continuing with McCarthy Building in 5.3. And I also noted that I think we've got a bad signature page on 5.3. It was that's the signature page for 5.4, and so that should be substituted in, obviously.
Okay, Ms. Delina.
Hi, yes, I'll take care of those incorrect signature pages. Relative to the surety, where we're at in that process right now, the contractor was noted as being in default, as you're aware. The surety has gone and brought contractors on board, contractors as in not construction managers, and I'm making that point of clarification because McCarthy is our construction manager. And so you asked me the question about why we might want to move forward with them as a construction manager, and that would be because they are the single most knowledgeable entity out there as far as the history of the project and moving forward with the project. So they're there every day, every time a nail gets pounded there on the site, and they'll continue the history through to the new contractor who, by the way, there was like 7 of them that just walked the site. And by August 20th, we're expecting bids from those contractors. And we're going to put a placeholder in the August board meeting and then bring you a contractor for recommendation or bring a resolution to award a contract after the August board meeting. So we'll be moving into a new era with a new contractor as early as September on that project.
Okay, thank you.
Does that take care of your questions?
Yes.
All right, so we'll vote on each of these.
Nancy,
Trustee Wright has-
Nancy, I also had
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I had a concern here too. It says here, as far as the background, it says that the contract will go from mid-July 2012 to the end of February 2013. On the second page, it says March 2013.
And on 2 of the contracts, it's accurate. There's 4 of them that are before you, this agenda item for extensions. On 2 of those extend to March simply because the services that they provide are services that are closeout services. Once the contractor's gone, they get us DSA closeout. They make sure certified payroll is all appropriate. So those 2 go to March. It should be March in the case of the discrepancy where there's a February or March date.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Do I have a motion for 5.3, please?
So moved.
Second.
Second by Trustee Milchiker. Let's all vote on 5.3. Okay, the matter carries unanimously with 2 trustees absent, student trustee absent, and trustee Pendergast absent. 5.4, to hear a motion. Oh, it should be noted that the signature page on 5.3 needs correction. All right. 5.4, to hear a motion. Trustee Lang?
Yes, I'll go. I had pulled that item also just to understand the surety
Correct.
Process, and I think that was covered in the last
Okay, so you
remarks,
have a
so-
second to your motion? Second by Trustee Meldau. Let's vote on the item. Okay, matter carries unanimously with 1 trustee absent and a student trustee absent. So we are now at 5.9. I believe also Trustee Lang pulled.
Yes, I just wanted a little bit more information. This item dealt with a particular grant for the nursing program, indicating that applying for funds in order to hire for a part-time faculty position that would increase enrollment, and I was interested in getting a little bit more information, understanding about what that would look like, how many more students would we be able to serve.
Sure, my pleasure. Good question. First, since about 2002, Saddleback College's baseline has been 44 students. That's what we fund for. We have raised money, in fact, from other grants and other types of funding sources since 2002 to do an additional 16 students per each class, per each semester, to get us up to 60. So this grant is another grant. Actually, it's the second time. It's a grant renewal that we've been able to fund the 16 more students each semester due to this external funding. So it is helping us to add more nurses to our classes, obviously, and preparing them for the workforce.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Lang moved it. Do I have a second by Trustee Meldau? All right, let's vote on the item, please. Matter carries unanimously with 1 trustee absent and student trustee absent. We are now at 5.11, pulled by Trustee Milchiker. All right, and let's vote on the item. Okay, matter carries unanimously with 1 abstention by Trustee Milchiker, 1 trustee absent, and a student trustee absent. We are now at 5.15, which was pulled for a roll call vote. So are there any comments or questions? And do I have a motion for this item? So moved by Trustee Lang. Seconded by Trustee Wright. And at this point, seeing no questions or comments, let's call the roll. It will be called by Grace Garcia. Go.
Trustee Jay?
Aye.
Trustee Lang?
Aye.
Trustee Meldau?
Aye.
Trustee Milchiker?
Aye.
Trustee Padberg?
Aye.
Trustee Wright?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we are now at action items. First one is 6.1, and this is a contract with Neudesic for software development. Who will present this, Chancellor? Will you do that, or who? Okay, Vice Chancellor Ruud, go ahead.
Neudesic will provide two services on this, both maintenance of the SIS, Student Information System, which includes things like state-mandated changes, as well as local contract mandated changes, and also enhancements of SIS. We have a database where we collect all requests for new features, enhancements. Those are prioritized by the colleges, and District IT works on those items that reach the top of that prioritization list.
Seconded by Trustee Jay. Comments?
Yeah,
Trustee Milchiker?
I just want to thank IT for all the information on this. There was certainly an enormous amount of information. It's, $1.3 million investment. It was approved not only by our administration, but also by our district relatively new, really new committee that approves all of our expenditures from basic aid funds also. So it's been well reviewed. So I'm willing to move forward on this particular item.
Seeing no further comments, let's vote on the item. Okay, matter carries unanimously with one trustee absent and student trustee absent. We are now at 6.2, and that'll be again Vice Chancellor Bermucci talking about Foundation for California Community Colleges and Blackboard.
We have now brought together our myriad Blackboard contracts so that they all come at the fiscal year. This is for 6 different services or products. This is the Blackboard Learning Management System, as well as the cloud-based hosting of that system. It includes extra storage that we purchase because we're a large district. We have a lot of courses on Blackboard, as well as other products. Blackboard Connect is our emergency messaging product. It is also used as the messaging engine for our Sherpa product. Blackboard Mobile is the apps for the colleges that have been downloaded approximately 12,000 times. And Blackboard Student Services is 24/7, 365 service for Blackboard for students.
And would you just mind for the public giving a brief definition of what Blackboard means?
Yes, Blackboard is the industry-leading learning management system that is used for delivery of digital resources, both for online and hybrid classes, but as well for web-enhanced classes that include a web component.
Okay.
Move the item.
We have Trustee Jay moved and Trustee Lang seconding this. Okay, any comments or questions? Let's vote on the item. Carries unanimously with one trustee absent and a student trustee absent. 6.3. These are board policy revisions, and this is for discussion and approval. Comments or questions about the various policies that need to be revised and approved? Trustee Lang, did you have a comment?
I'm planning on moving approval of these items, but because I know there's some urgency involved with respect to at least some of these board policy items. On item Board Policy 3300, Exhibit E, I would like to see this come back in the future with perhaps some additional language that speaks to evaluation of costs associated with gifts that the district accepts, so that we have a very clear understanding of what that involves in light of the bones issue from the last meeting. But in the meantime, I do move approval.
All right, any further comments or questions? Trustee Milchiker.
I have two. The item on the student trustee, it says that the student trustee is allowed to continue on as an employee of the district. This is continuing to be in there, and I'm willing to approve it, but I just wondered why that's in there. Does anyone know why that's in there?
Which one is that? Which item?
That's the very first board policy.
Oh, okay. Student member. Not required to give up employment with the district if that person is employed. They don't have to be employed.
Have to give it up.
Yeah.
Right.
So, in other words, it's just to cover your base in case we have a student trustee candidate who is also an employee. Yeah. I think that's what that means.
Yes.
Okay. Further comments or questions? All right. Trustee Lang, are you ready to make a motion? Yes, I move approval. Seconded by Trustee Wright. All right, let's all vote on the item, please. Trustee Milchiker. All right, matter carries unanimously with one trustee absent and a student trustee absent. We're now at 6.4. These are policy revisions for review and study. So,
Second.
okay, moved by Trustee Lang, seconded by Trustee Jay. Any comments or questions? All right, let's vote on the item. Okay, carries unanimously with one trustee absent and a student trustee absent. 6.5, Irvine Valley College Management Reorganization. Vice or President
Thank you
Glenn
very
Roquemore.
We are proposing a few relatively minor changes. None of them will result in any new positions, and the reorganization will not add to costs. Each of them will have a fairly small amount of change to their titles, but there's some shifting of responsibilities to create a better effectiveness of how all of the deans are working within our programs. I can go into more detail if anyone wishes, but most of the deans are keeping at least a portion of what they're already doing, but shifting responsibilities with other deans.
Trustee Lang.
Yes, obviously I feel very strongly that the president should be allowed to manage the resources that they have. And therefore, I, similar to our support of the Saddleback reorganization from, I think, the last meeting or the meeting before, I think it's important that we also give, Glenn the resources that he needs. So I move for approval of this item.
Thank you, Trustee Lang.
Seconded by Trustee Meldow. Let's vote on the item, seeing no one else with questions. Carries unanimously with one trustee absent and a student trustee absent. We're now at 6.6, which is academic personnel actions. Vice Chancellor.
We have one minor change to this item. If you look on page 7 of 9 on this item, I have one letter on the very last line where it says, this item is contingent upon the approval of item F. That F should become a G, and that's the same for all the rest of them on the next page as well. But
Okay.
I suspect the board. Thank you.
All right. Second by Trustee Lang. Any other comments or questions? And that's the only change is F to G, correct? All right, let's vote on the item. Matter carries unanimously with one trustee absent and a student absent too. 6.7, classified personnel actions. No change. Do I hear a motion? Trustee Lang moved and Trustee Wright seconded. Comments or questions? Let's vote on the item. Carries unanimously with one trustee absent and a student trustee absent. 6.8. This is the agreement for special services with our attorney's firm, Atkinson, Adelson, Loya, Ruud Romo. And this is a matter that has to get renewed regularly. Comments or questions about this item? Looks like it's a very minor increase of $5 or $10 on some of their charges. So, do I hear a motion? Questions?
So move.
Okay, Trustee Milchiker moved the item. There a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Meldow. Comments or questions? No? Let's vote on the item. Okay, matter carries unanimously with one trustee absent, student trustee absent. We are now at item 7.1, and this is Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College speakers. Any comments or questions from anyone about this item? This is an information item only. No? Okay. 7.2, CCT student trustee member election. Any comments or questions? 4 student trustees have been nominated to run for California Community College Trustee Board. Okay, again, just an information item, no actions required. 7.3 is the basic aid report. Comments or questions? We have these on the agenda all the time, so we should be familiar with them. 7.4 is the Facilities Master Plan. Comments or questions? 7.5 is the Retiree Trust Fund Report. Okay, no comments. So we are now at our reports from our constituents groups. So we will start with our Saddleback College Academic Senate President.
Thank you, Madam President.
Could you speak right into the mic? It's kind of hard. There you go.
Thank you. I left earlier at the 3:30 session a white packet on your podium desks, and enclosed in it is a copy of the Saddleback College Fall 2012 in-service and professional development program. And I want to identify one thing that I mentioned before, that on the first day of August 13th, from 9:30 to 10:30 in BGS 232, David Morris from Long Beach, who was on the task force at the state level, will be talking about the recommendations. And it's a great opportunity to ask questions of someone who actually was very intimately involved in this, so that it's clear to all of us. So I'd like to invite my colleagues from IVC and board members and district personnel to come and join us. One of the things that I've noted this year is that this is the first year in nearly a decade we have not hired any new faculty. We are replacing 27 of 31 faculty who took the early incentive option. But we all know how expensive it is when we hire people, but what drives us at the colleges rests with the faculty oftentimes. Curriculum, which is the heart and soul of what we do here, is driven by faculty, usually full-time faculty. And as that number of full-time faculty has diminished over the years, the demands have been increased, so that now this new edition of the task force recommendations that we're embracing puts more work on the faculty. This does not disparage in any way our part-time faculty, but they're not here to do the additional work of curriculum, program review, SLOs, and all the other options that we are taking on. And it's important to recognize again why the hiring of new faculty are so important. Thank you.
Okay. And our Faculty Association President, Paula Jacobs.
I don't have a report, but I do have an invitation. I would like to encourage the board members to attend the events that the Faculty Association is sponsoring during Flex Week. We'll have our biannual luncheon and program. This year it'll be at Irvine Valley College following the Chancellor's address on Tuesday, August 14th. And then on Friday, August 17th, here at Saddleback College, we are sponsoring a luncheon and a short program for the new full-time faculty, and we'd like to extend an invitation so that you could join us for a picnic lunch out here on the patio in front of the Health Sciences Building and mix and mingle with our new faculty members.
Great. Thank you very much. And our Irvine Valley College Academic Senate President, Kathy Smidler.
Good evening. I also don't have a formal report, but I would like to say that I echo what my colleagues have said, especially, of course, my counterpart at Saddleback, and I would like to commend their work on the booklet that they've made for their new staff members, their new faculty and administrators. I think that's wonderful, and we won't be able to put together such a beautiful job, but we certainly will try to emulate them a little bit so that we can welcome our newcomers as they've done. I think it's a wonderful model to follow. I look forward to working with Bob, and I think our cabinets will look forward to working together this year and we've already begun doing some things jointly, or at least discussing things together. And my cabinet will be reconvening to begin our next plans for next year in the next week or so.
Thank you. President of Irvine Valley College, Glenn Roquemore.
Yes, thank you very much. First off, I would like to congratulate Trustee Jim Wright. Been a great colleague over these years, and I look forward to working with you in this new capacity. Oh, it's wonderful. I would like to remind everybody of the President's Opening on August 13th. If you could put that on your calendar, and if you don't have our in-service book, I can find out about that and make sure that you can get a copy and see our events on that. And then finally, real quick, way down on the end of the table here is our new ASIBC president, Thomas Thane, and this is his first meeting, although he's been extremely active at the college and in district workshops over the summer, and he's really great to work with.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right, and our president of Saddleback College, Todd Burnett.
Thank you, Madam President. Ditto, welcome, Trustee Wright. As already mentioned, but on Friday we had a wonderful bridge dedication. In fact, the plaque that'll be is being made, which has all the traditional recognitions. The bridge does state that it's dedicated to the hardworking men and women in the Facilities and Maintenance Department at Saddleback College, and we're very proud to be able to do that in a very small token of our appreciation for the great work they do every day for our college and our district. At that same time, we also hosted an annual breakfast for all the facilities and maintenance crews, including the night crew, which actually stayed up. I should say stayed after their shift for the breakfast, and they just had a great time for all. And once again, thank you, Trustee Wright and Trustee Milchiker, for being able to make it. As you've heard many times, faculty in service starts August 13th through the 17th. Once again, just I'll tell you, one of the things is just very impressive at Saddleback College is the great work that our Academic Senate does in preparing the week-long of activities and events and working together with administrators, staff, and their cohorts with the Faculty Association and faculty elsewhere in our district to put together just a impressive list of events and training programs for our faculty. And we're just excited that that's coming up. I would point out that there are many valuable activities and encourage you to go to as many as you can. Would like to point out, in addition to what Professor Cosgrove mentioned, I think on Monday, that's a great event, but also our President's Faculty Breakfast on Wednesday, August 15th, which will be a great opportunity where we introduce all the new faculty. And we have a big class this year of 28 faculty, so we're looking forward to that. If you can't make it to the breakfast, or you'd like to come again for another meal, we have the lunch on Friday with our classified staff luncheon, which is always a good event for you to make it to. Classes start Monday, August 20th. It seems like tomorrow, because it really is about tomorrow when it starts. So we're all working hard in the crunch to get ready for the return of all of our students. With that, the long-awaited opening of our learning library and learning resource center is underway. We've been moving in now for the last few weeks, and we will just make it in time for when classes start to have the library and learning resource center up and running. The welcome week, the Wednesday of it, we're going to have a barbecue to have kind of an open house for the Learning Resource Center during that week and have a big barbecue for students, faculty, staff, and all of you are also, everybody's invited to partake in that as well and have an informal open house for that. Of course, we'll have other opportunities to show you the new facility, which is just amazing and frankly will be the cornerstone of student learning and success at Saddleback College. And so we're very proud of it and excited, and thank you to the board and to our district services for getting that finished in such a magnificent way.
Vice Chancellor Bermucci.
No report.
Okay, thank you. And Vice Chancellor Bouguet.
I'd like to congratulate Trustee Wright as his appointment. Last Friday, we had the bridge dedication, and shortly thereafter, there was a small group of mentees in the ACA, which is the Association of California Community College Administrators. There's a mentorship program, and we had a small meeting of eight future deans here, and so Trustee Milchiker came by and talked to some of them and had a cup of coffee, and I dragged Trustee Wright into the meeting as a board member and as a former dean to give them words of advice. So thank you, Dr. Wright.
All right, and you don't look like Deborah Fitzsimmons.
Kim
Vice Chancellor
McCord, the Executive Director of Fiscal Services, sitting in for Dr. Fitzsimmons.
What was your name again?
Kim McCord.
Okay.
And there's no additional report.
All right, thank you very much. So now we're moving to Irvine Valley College Classified Senate. No, oh, nobody there. I'm sorry. California School Employees Association, Nancy? No report. Okay. And Vice Saddleback College Classified Senate. Don Manuel.
And I'm still getting words from other classified members how excited they are for Jim Wright's appointment. And it really brings an air of excitement, which usually is not a word used to describe the board. Lately it has been, and I'm very happy to report that. Also, we have a classified retreat this year. We reviewed all our last year's activities. We reviewed Robert's Rules of Order, which has always been an exciting topic. Staff development process and how to improve our staff development process, and including our outstanding service awards, which will have a different process this year. We also went budget review and how to learn the budget coding, which for a lot of our members is new. We also talked about emergency response and bylaw reviews and additional funding different activities, or how we can actually do more funding, which is a lot to cover over a retreat. And that reminds me about a fundraising opportunity that I happen to bring tonight. Which is actually through Macy's. It's called Shop for a Cause. And what they do is they give us tickets to sell for $5. You take this ticket to Saturday, August 25th, and all day you can actually get 25% off already discounted prices. So it's 25% on top of the additional discounted prices. You buy the ticket through us for $5, so you're welcome to do that. I did bring some. And they're national, so you could buy them for friends and family across the nation.
Wow.
And also, we're going to set up a booth that day, this Saturday. From the Admissions and Records Office, Craig Connor is actually taking the lead on that. And we'll be there probably in the morning hours between the building and the parking structure. So just come on up and see me, and I'll sell you a ticket.
Thank you. And we're now at our Saddleback College Associated Student Government President, Eric. You didn't get introduced. You're new too, right?
Yes, I am. I actually presented the budget last time, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's a little new. It's a little new to me, but I'm hanging in there.
All right.
Anyways, hello to everyone. I just wanted to report that in August we will be presenting our final ASG budget to the Board of Trustees. So that's in preparation as of right now. And we are currently selecting new ASG members. And it's without a doubt that a great deal of student success starts with understanding what students need. And so we're really emphasizing who we're selecting for our student senate. And these represent certain divisions. These students represent certain divisions. So with that being said, we're implementing new surveying tactics to understand what students need and what they feel can be extended. We're also providing better representation by understanding what students within a certain department feel as though should be brought forward, what as well as what student services, how we can provide greater publicity to some of the resources and student services that Saddleback College provides, because a lot of students don't realize that there's so many opportunities there. And we're also going to implement divisions in student government events, because student development should go beyond curriculum. We feel as though by implementing these events with the divisions, we can really give students an opportunity to gain a new knowledge beyond the classroom. And other than that, we'll be having our student government retreat in 2 weeks.
Okay.
That's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Our IVC Student Government President, Thomas Then. You were introduced recently.
I'm Thomas Thing as
Or
President.
talk a little closer to the mic so we can hear you.
Oh, good evening, everyone. As President Roquemore introduced me, I'm Thomas Thing. I'm new here. And I would like to thank to President Roquemore and everyone. And it's my pleasure to be here. Almost same as Saddleback President present. We're doing the same thing. We've been working on the final budget for the August meeting to present to the board. And then we have some new members recently just joined the student government, and we're having a lot of people applying for it. I've been working on it for some interviews and picking people who are picking the right person, so they're willing to put their effort into the campus. And I'm also willing to work with Saddleback ESIBC president to bring up student perspective and what they're thinking from both campuses. And I'm also willing to share anything from students' perspective. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you. And we are now at the point of adjournment. However, I do need to ask the board members who did the roll call vote to remain and sign the resolution. So we'll have Ms. Garcia pass that to you, but the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.